Black Panther, winner of multiple NAACP awards, was a success at the box office. Behind the screen, winner of the Understatement of the Year award, just grossly understated its success. The movie grossed over $1.3 billion at the box office worldwide. Like, billion. With a B? It won a slew of awards, including 2 Oscars, and broke all sorts of records, but perhaps its most impressive win is its cultural impact. It marked an important shift in Hollywood towards inclusion and representation. It also had Kendrick Lamar. Black Panther did such a good job at being a movie, there's a high probability that Marvel will look to make another one. When I say high, I mean like a Snoop Dogg level of probability. In fact, you would think that they'd be getting right on that. It's one of the highest grossing films ever released. Why is Marvel taking their sweet time with a sequel? It took them under a year to release 2 Avengers movies, with a Captain Marvel and an Ant-Man squeezed in between there for good measure. Black Panther came out over a year and a half ago, and there still isn't even a discussion being had about pre-production. Kevin Feige, the head of all MCU-related business, stated, quote, "I have nothing specific to reveal, other than to say we absolutely will do that," in reference to a Black Panther sequel. So what's the holdup here? Why are we dragging our feet? According to a list of placeholder dates that Marvel released without any movie titles attached, it appears as though Black Panther could be dropping November 6th, 2020 or February 12th, 2021. These random placeholder dates that they release are so freaking weird. Why are we getting all excited about arbitrary dates on a calendar? It's not like they announce what movies to expect. They literally just say a future day and month and expect us to get excited. And it somehow works. It's like if Nike announced that in 2023 they're gonna release a new shoe. Of course they are. Marvel makes multiple movies a year. Why are we so obsessed with the idea that they're gonna continue to do so? Rumor is that Ryan Coogler is gonna start penning a screenplay for Black Panther 2 later this year, eyeing to start shooting either late 2019 or early 2020. But what would it possibly be about? Perhaps the reason they aren't rushing to produce a follow-up film is because there isn't really a good story to tell right now, and forcing one just for the sake of putting a movie out is never a good call. However, Marvel is likely eager to double down on what many fans are calling the first African-American superhero movie, which is extremely insulting to the legendary Blade. Following Endgame, the snapping had been reversed and everything is back to normal. I mean, aside from half of humanity suddenly coming back after 5 years and, civilization essentially being reset, but what does this mean for T'Challa and the rest of the gang? Well, T'Challa was one of the snapped, meaning he's been gone for the past 5 years. So who was in charge during his absence? Was anyone? Keep in mind, things are different for Wakanda now as well. Not only is everyone back, but they only recently opened up their borders and started letting the world in on all their advanced knowledge and resources. That must have been a difficult transition period. Not only did they make a decision to completely change the entire landscape of their nation and how it operates, but then their fearless leader suddenly disappears almost immediately after. That's, not ideal. It would have been interesting to see how a nation going through a transitional phase like that without direction could have held up. 5 years is a long time for the leader of a nation to suddenly go missing. In most cases. Now that everyone is suddenly back from the snap thanks to some charred green fingers, Wakanda's probably an even bigger mess. Perhaps that could be what Black Panther 2 is centered around. Although, I'm not sure how fans would react if there's no big villain or crazy fighting and instead it's more of like a political movie. Focusing on the political and economical state of the nation could be a fascinating aspect, but the movie would need a lot more firepower to keep audiences on board. It'll be tough to follow up the Eric Killmonger role that Michael B. Jordan hit such a home run with. He kind of broke the mold for a comic book villain and had fans feeling some type of way. If anything, Killmonger's motives were pretty justified, and it took him passing away while fighting the fight for T'Challa and the rest of Wakanda to turn a new leaf. Despite his militant tactics, Killmonger was debatably the hero of the first movie while being the villain at the same time. It's unlikely that they'll bring back the character for round 2, especially considering the fact that he passed away at the end of the first film. If you didn't know that already, then sorry for the spoiler. Actually, no, I take that back. If you're halfway through a video about Black Panther 2 without ever watching the first one, then this one's on you. That's not my fault. However, Michael B. Jordan did express some interest in returning. He already portrayed one of the best bad guys to ever grace the silver screen, and won the Best Villain Award at the MTV Music and Television Awards, so we know the audience would love to see a return. Although, Jordan did have to seek some help from a therapist following the filming of Black Panther in order to get out of the whole Killmonger mindset, so he might want to rethink his statements before fully committing. If not Killmonger, then who could appear in the Black Panther sequel? Well, it'll almost certainly deal with T'Challa reclaiming his throne after years of being snapped away. We can all but guarantee that Shuri will be back, hopefully with an even larger role than before. I mean, if Marvel has plans to continue making Avengers movies, then the group will need a tech genius now that Tony Stark is no more. Shuri would make an ideal replacement for said role, so having her as involved as possible in the storyline is a major plus. Black Panther 2 could also introduce some new characters. After all, Disney just acquired Fox, which means they'll be looking for a way to incorporate some of those shiny new Fox assets into the MCU. There's Deadpool and the Fantastic Four, but the one that I think Black Panther will be used to introduce is the X-Men. Yes, the X-Men have made a slew of movies in the past, but never as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The tie-in would be to incorporate Storm. She's one of the most popular and most powerful X-Men on the roster, and if we go back to the comic book source material, she also happens to be T'Challa's wife. By introducing Queen Storm as a love interest, Marvel could open the gates to allow in the rest of the X-Men crew. It's not like they're just gonna randomly produce and release an X-Men movie without any sort of hints or build-up beforehand. That just isn't how Marvel does business. They're masters at getting audiences excited, sometimes years before a big unveil. There are a lot of potential ways Black Panther 2 could go, but none that really stand out. Wakanda's probably unsettled, but it's not like there's any immediate threat or danger to worry about. There isn't a specific villain threatening their safety. They sort of just need to get their stuff together and they'll be fine. You know, just let the dust settle a bit. Without an imminent story that needs to be told, perhaps Marvel is better off waiting until the right opportunity comes around. Or they could just produce 90 minutes of T'Challa doing paperwork and it would do well at the box office. At the end of the day, they're gonna do whatever they want and it's gonna work because we're gonna watch it and it'll make $1 billion regardless. Okay, so Marvel's making another Black Panther movie, just not yet. What else could possibly take precedence over something of this magnitude? We already know that the only two movies they plan on filming this year are a standalone Black Widow timepiece, which likely won't affect the main MCU very much, and an Eternals movie, which could quite possibly change the entire MCU or have absolutely nothing to do with it. We also know that Marvel has plans for new movies from Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Thor, and the Guardians of the Galaxy. You would think that, on the superhero hierarchy of importance, Black Panther should rank right up there. Like, from a business perspective, T'Challa and Captain Marvel are the two best moneymakers, and seeing as how Captain Marvel is still relatively new, it would stand to reason that Black Panther should take priority over all of these titles. Marvel isn't just making sequels, threequels, and fourquels either. They have big plans to produce several new franchises as well. Expect films centered around Shang-Chi, Marvel's first Asian-centric foray, as well as Nova, the New Avengers, the Young Avengers, and the Dark Avengers. If you're anything like me, you like a variety of Avengers to choose from. Thanks, Marvel. That's exactly what we need. 3 different types of Avengers movies before a second Black Panther one. Again, I should reiterate that there's no set schedule. We know that these movies are getting made, we just don't know when. We also have a list of random dates that Marvel released without any correlation as to which movie comes out when. For now, all we can really do is sit and speculate. Before we go, let's take a look at some of the best comments from our latest releases. Cash_Kids21 writes, "This is too funny." I'm glad you like it, Cash. Augustus Griffith commented, "Love this new presenter." Thanks, I really appreciate that. Shooked wrote, "I love this guy's sense of humor." That's really nice of you to say. Then there's Comic Book Chaos number 27, who wrote, "These videos are getting worse and worse, please step it up." Whoa. I don't know what to say. You really swept the rug out from under me there, CBC27. That's It's a lot to think about. I got a lot to process right now. I'm not sure how I feel. Oh, and finally, Adam T. writes, Spoderman pours milk in before the cereal. Accurate statement, Adam. Well, that's all the info we've got for now. What are your thoughts on a Black Panther sequel? What will the story look like? What new characters will they introduce? And who will be the villain? Also, when the heck are they going to get around to making it already? Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. We read them all and we love hearing from you. Plus, you may get a shout out in a future video. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Screen to stay up to date on all our latest releases. Until next time, bye!